Hi there and welcome to my local woods. Winter is here, as you can see. So, why did the Vikings convert to Christianity? I mean, they had this rich and very insightful belief system, and yet they converted to a foreign religion. Let's sit down by the campfire and have a chat about that. I will have to make the campfire first. I always sit down. I like to sit down by the campfire, and I hope that you will join me. Let's head over in this direction. My name is Bjorn, by the way, and I'm a historical novelist, and I live here in Norway. Let's see if we can make some fire. When we think about the Vikings, we tend to think about Thor and Odin and basically the pre-Christian time, the pre-Christian part of the Viking Age. But in reality, the nobles, meaning kings and earls and so on, at least during the last decades of the Viking Age, if you asked them, if you had a time machine and you traveled back in time and you asked them, are you a Christian? They would most likely have answered yes. Christianity during the Viking Age, and not only the Viking Age, basically the whole medieval age, it was a political tool, first and foremost. It was a way to centralize power, remove power from the local communities, and give all of that power to the king. But the first and probably most important reason why the Norse, more correctly, we say the Vikings, but you know, we are talking about the Norse, the people in Scandinavia during the Viking Age. The most important reason that they converted to Christianity is that they didn't really have a choice. They had to, because the old ways were outlawed. You could be killed for practicing the old customs. So it was, as we say, we say that it was done by the sword. Christianity was forced upon people. They didn't have a choice, and I think it went like this. You heard about this guy in the in some neighbor or a neighbor's neighbor. They had, the king's men had been there, and they killed him because he wouldn't convert to Christianity. And so the king's men, when they come to your farm and they ask you, are you, sword in hand, are you a Christian? You would probably have said, yeah, I think I'm very Christian. You won't find anyone more Christian than I am, But my guess is that the reason why Christianity got the foot in the door, so to speak, to begin with, was that people in pre-Christian times, at least in Northern Europe, they didn't really have this idea of exclusivity. They would probably have been open to the idea that there could be more gods. So the white Christ, Hvite Krist, as they would say about Jesus, he was just another god. He was the god of that people over there. Maybe he was the god of the merchants that visited you during summer. And they would be quite accept getting difficult to talk because they're cold now. They would have accepted that probably, as long as they could keep their gods and their old ways, their customs. In pre-Christian times, you had one god for each area of your life, so to speak, and also some gods were more associated with certain groups of the population. It has been said that Odin, he was the god of the chieftains, the kings, the nobles, and so on. I personally believe that Odin was much more closer to the common man than that. It's not so far-fetched to think that when they heard about other gods, they would be quite, accepting that. As long as I said, they could keep their ways, as long as that foreign god was not forced upon them. In my video last week, I talked about the Valknut and being, a pre-Christian symbol. And I forgot to mention that the Valknut has been found on a coin, and on the same coin there is also a cross. These archaeological finds, they tell us about a period of time where people were open to both Christianity and their old belief system, so to speak, and they probably kept their old belief system while adopting slowly Christianity. Now, I'm holding this kuksa here. It's kuksa made by Kastrem. I make these myself too, but this one is really beautiful. Hope you can see that. And I'm doing a giveaway of this on my Patreon. That idea of non-exclusivity, of course, didn't apply to Christianity. It doesn't apply to Christianity. So once Christianity was introduced, the old ways were, practically outlawed. Well, they were outlawed because you couldn't do the blot, and the blot, the so-called pagan holidays that were celebrated by offerings to the gods and so on, those were outlawed. And if you read the sagas, it seems like people were, that's what upset people the most, almost, the fact that they couldn't do the blot, they couldn't practice the old ways, the old customs. And that tells me that it was important to them. It was their way of connecting with the ancestors and the gods. So, another question, of course, is, did the introduction of Christianity make life better for people? There is nothing to suggest that. Some freedoms were taken away. One curious thing is that, at least to my knowledge, girls were no longer allowed to do sports after the introduction of Christianity. So some things changed, but it didn't really bring any form of more humanity or anything like that to Viking society. They still kept slaves, and So I get some people they get provoked when I talk about these matters, but this is not really, shouldn't be that controversial. It's a long time ago, and we know quite a lot about actually what happened and how Christianity was introduced in Northern Europe. It's wonderful out here now that we have such beautiful snow. No AI, by the way. I got a comment the other day, and it said, "What's this? Some AI slop?" No, this is not AI. But we have actually gotten to the point now where when people see real, authentic content, they think, "Oh, it must be AI." No, it's not. This is real, and there will never be any AI on my channels. I upload videos every Saturday, so do consider to subscribe. That would be wonderful. And as I said before, if you don't, the goblins, the little Nisse in these woods, they might make life very difficult for me. They make little traps and they throw pine cones and stuff at me. They can be very nasty. So please subscribe to this channel and make my hikes here a little bit safer. So that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment, that would be wonderful. And in a few days, so next Saturday, I will be uploading a new video. Until then, you can check out one of the videos that should pop up here on the end screen. So thank you and have a wonderful day.